And hello, my beautiful social media. Thank you for joining me again on my channel or LinkedIn or wherever you're watching this. I wanted to do a video today based on quality. And this is purely because I've actually had a lot of people ask me this, like, okay, why is your brand so special? And what's the difference in terms of quality? So I've got two pairs. I'm not gonna name the cheaper brand just because I don't want to name or shame. There's some people that I still quite like if I just want a cheap pair, but because I have my own brand, like I'll be wearing theirs a lot more than not even theirs, I'll be wearing mine a lot more than theirs. That's what I'm trying to say. By the way, excuse what I'm wearing. It's literally just a lounge day today. I'm taking some time out for me, and then I decided to do this video as well, so here we are. Okay, so the pair I wanted to try, which is a cheaper brand, this is a 20 denier pair, so I decided to do just 20 denier pairs because it's easy to make that comparison with mine as well. So what I wanted to talk about is what's the difference and how can you tell when something is cheap and when something is amazing quality. So I will tell you. Basically, when it's cheaper, okay, so normally people tend to sell hosiery for pounds, literally for a good couple of pounds. Some between like up to £5, sometimes they're £5 to £10, 10 to 15, etc., etc. So some people have the whole thing of, oh, well, I suppose if it's more expensive, that means it's better quality. Most of the time, yes. I will say that because, prime example, I've done some Walford pairs. Now, Walford is like, it's amazing, but their pairs minimum are like £25, £30, £45 plus. Like, I think I've got a pair that is about £90 worth. Like, legit, you could get this pair for like £90. It is, some people think that's ridiculous. I just think they're blooming gorgeous. So anyway, but with cheaper pairs, what I always find, and this is, I'm trying not to be biased here, just because I hosiery review all sorts of pairs. I've done Primark pairs, H&M pairs, New Look pairs. I've done like high street brand ones. I've also done ones from China where you can get them for 50p, you know, like, or 99p. I've also done some mid-range and I've done some really high ranges. So this is kind of what made me want to do my brand, is just to find that really good mid-range where you can have amazing quality, but you're not paying such a massive amount for them. So yeah, I'm trying not to say so much about my brand here. Oh god, it's so hard. I do apologize. I will try to rein this in. Okay, so anyway, right, so with cheaper pairs, I always find they tend to not last as long. And when I say this, it's you probably get a couple of wears max. And even in terms of washing them, they tend to snag a lot more easily. They don't really wash that well. And they just, yeah, they basically don't last. So what I found with cheaper pairs, you have to keep buying them. Like, not trying to sound bad, but Primark, this is not Primark by the way, but like a Primark pair, I picked up a pair before for like £1, but I was like, yeah, okay, let me try it. Legit, the first day I was in them, I tried my best, yeah, to like really not let anything touch my legs. I ended up with loads of rips and snags. I had marks all over my legs in terms of like really weird markings. And it was just, I washed them, wore them again, and literally they did not last. And I felt like I would need to buy another pair. Now think, when you're buying cheaper hosiery, you're buying pairs and pairs and pairs. When you actually calculate that up, you're probably spending money that you would have, like, that you can get for a decent pair that will last you, and it won't be ripping on you really easily. It'll be washing really, really well, and they'll be lasting you a lot longer. So I always find hosiery, especially if you're in them all the time, investing in good quality hosiery is a must. Just straight up, it's a must. And me being me, I'm always in hosiery. Minus today. I know people are going to be like, yeah, but you're not wearing hosiery today. Minus today, it's a me day. I'm always in hosiery, and I always find when I wear cheaper, you can tell it's cheap. And I know these aren't going to last me. Literally a wear, maybe 2 max, and I'll just be either disposing or trying to utilize them in some other way. So anyway, enough about this. So this is, like I said, a 20 denier sheer pair. So it has reinforced toes, which is great. Some pairs do, some pairs don't. Now mine don't, because I know a lot of people don't like it when it is dark. And to be fair, these shade lighter. Let me see, like just there. They shade a lot lighter than the rest. This can be great. Some people don't like it. Everyone's different. Mine doesn't have that. Mine is literally sheer from toe to waist, unless it's a bigger size. Then you have like a boxer brief type of style, just for that extra support. But then these, I find they don't feel too bad, but they feel quite rough. And that's just on my arm. So you can imagine on your legs, and especially if you have like sensitive skin on your legs, or you've got skin issues or skin conditions, whatever, it's the last thing you want is something feeling quite rough. So that's what I feel obviously with this pair. And this pair I think I bought for like $2.99 or $3.99. It's something really cheap. It is just really cheap. Another thing that I found is, remember I told you about those weird markings? So I'm gonna try and see if you guys can see that, but on my hand here, when you stretch them out, you see these really, it's not smooth, it's not completely sheer finish. It's just these really odd markings. And I think, luckily this is at the top of the legs, but even so, just say if you're wearing shorts or like a short dress or a skirt, you'll be able to see that. And that instantly, it grates me. I remember walking in like Westfield one time, and I remember seeing someone wearing hosiery. I spotted it a mile off. Not only did she have loads of snags, but I could actually see those markings. Like the closer she was walking towards me, I could see those markings on her legs, and I thought, she's just bought a cheap and cheerful pair. That's fine by her. If that's what she wants to do, that's cool. But what I'm trying to say is, if you invest in the good stuff, they will love you back. Like, so anyway, so that's one thing I want to show you, is you can get weird and wonderful markings. This is not normal, by the way. I want to just point that out. That is not normal. Hosiery should not do this. On this pair, obviously it's got a bit of a thick band at the top, just like a reinforced bit here. That's great. Some do, some don't. Mine don't. Mine's is just a T-band. I'll show you mine in a second, but mine's is a T-band. But in terms of that, it's these, I found there are a couple of I did manage to snag these somewhere, but they easily snagged. Like, I'm not sure if you guys can see there, but there's a couple. They're not great. And I always find, with, it's like I said, with cheaper pairs, they don't last you as long at all. And so I always find, if you just invest in some good quality pairs, they will last you. And that means you're spending less money. You know, you're actually being more environmentally friendly, I will say, because you're disposing of pairs, and a lot of these pairs aren't eco-friendly. They're using, I think they use like a lot of water, and there's a lot that goes into making hosiery. I'll need to probably do a different video on this as to how hosiery is made, in a sense, and what is actually used, and what's the difference between eco-friendly and normal and whatever. But this pair isn't. This isn't eco-friendly. This hasn't been using recycled materials or less water or anything like that. So that's another thing that you're doing, is you're actually being kinder to the planet, because basically you're not just wearing hosiery, throwing it away, buying another pair, wearing hosiery, and that cycle. So in a sense, you are actually being a lot more eco-friendly and good for the environment. We're all about the environment nowadays. So there's so many more pros into buying good quality pairs than cheaper pairs. So that's that pair. This is my pair now. I'm excited. Okay, so instantly, mine's is a lot more sheerer than that 20 denier pair. So I've obviously mentioned the fact that that they don't really have reinforced toes or anything, but it is just, it's really smooth to put on. These obviously do have a shine. And there is no weird markings at all. It's just one flush look, and there's no ombre-ness, because sometimes I find, like, especially with cheaper pairs, if they haven't got a size on, they're normally one size. When it's one size, it's not a one size fits all. It's literally probably like a small to maybe medium, if not large. But it's not like a large, extra large person would be able to fit into this, or bigger. So yeah, so that's another thing that a lot of cheaper hosiery companies do, is that they just make it one size because they think, oh yeah, one size fits all and that's all fine. But that's not the case, and that should never be the case. And then what I mentioned with the band is, obviously I just have this thick band, so the band itself is actually that thin. It's probably like half an inch maybe. And then I have a really good amount of reinforcement to them. Excuse me, that was my dad, by the way. So yes, I have a good amount of reinforcement to them. They even like have a really good cotton gusset, so it sits really flush on you. And the great thing about this is it does not roll down. They don't wrinkle at the ankles. Whereas I find sometimes cheaper hosiery does do that. It does start to slowly fall down and actually wrinkle at the ankles, and it does not look good. Once again, you can tell a mile off. I'm trying not to be really harsh, but you can tell, and you can tell a mile off, especially if you're like a huge hosiery enthusiast like me. Yeah, you can just tell. But the good thing about like more expensive hosiery, more expensive hosiery, is the quality comes with that at the end of the day, especially when you get like really well established companies. They kind of, you can tell with the reviews actually as well. I think that's another way that I would say you can tell with the reviews. But yeah, it's just, you pay for what you get, and that is amazing quality with it. And mine, I pride myself on how amazing my pairs are. Completely, I pride myself on that, because I would not be selling anything that is cheap and that would be like, that could just rip in a day, or or feel horrible on the legs. So yeah, so there's, like, as I mentioned before, there's so many pros and cons, but there's more cons to cheaper hosiery and more pros to the more sort of, okay, mine aren't that expensive. I don't feel like mine's like a mid-range point. I'm gonna put mine as a mid-range point, and a really good mid-range point. But yeah, but as I mentioned, there's so many more benefits investing in good quality pairs rather than cheap and cheerful pairs when you're having to keep buying them and buying them and buying them every so often. And I get, obviously, a lot of people don't tend to wear them all year round. They tend to do it sort of like autumn to spring. But even so, it's that all that money that you're spending actually does amount to a lot, actually. Like, I know some people, I think that's it, one of my friends, she was wearing hosiery from like autumn time for work, all the way to like sort of February, March. And I asked her, how much have you spent roughly? She probably spent about 80 to £100 on hosiery, and these are just cheap and cheerful pairs, £1 here, £2-3 here, £5 here, and they all amounted to £100. And I'm like, well, with £100 you could have bought at least five amazing pairs that would have lasted you, like, in between washes, while you're wearing them day in, day out. But yeah, but obviously a lot of people don't know this, so this is why I kind of wanted to do a video about it, just to kind of explain why better quality, maybe with like a little bit of a price tag, is going to be a lot more better for you than cheaper pairs that probably won't last you as long. But as I said, I'm not knocking it. It's fine if you want it, just to wear for like 1 or 2 times. That's fine. That's completely fine. But if you are someone who does regularly wear hosiery, even if it is like autumn to spring, you still want a good quality pair. And as I mentioned, prime example with that girl, when I went shopping, I spotted it a mile off, the fact that, yeah, she's got a cheap and cheerful pair on. Like, to her, it probably meant nothing. But to me, it was like, I can tell. And the thing is, I've always noticed, you can tell when it's, please excuse that background noise, it's my dad still making noise. But yeah, you can tell when it's a cheaper pair, purely because of the way it looks on the legs as well. It should have a really gorgeous, smooth finish, from toe to waistband, basically. It shouldn't really have an ombre look. It shouldn't really look snaggy. It should not have marks. It definitely should not have rings. I've always found some hosiery does have rings around it. That's a no-no. If you've got rings around it, don't think that's normal. That's a no-no. But yeah, no, so it's one thing you can notice, and I for one do. I always do. But like I said, it's with good quality pairs, you don't get none of that really. You don't get it where it snags super easy. You don't get it where it's going to be leaving weird markings all over your legs, or like little trail lines. And yeah, like I said, I could go on and on and on here, but ultimately this is why I wanted to show you, slightly show you the difference between a cheap pair and a good quality pair. And probably I'll have to do a follow-up video on this just to show you what they look like on the legs. I feel like that's probably the best way, visually, just to show you guys what I actually mean. It's one thing me sitting here doing this, and it's another thing when you actually can do a comparison. So yeah, that'll probably be my next video. Yeah, watch out for that one. I'll do that one in the next couple of days for you, just so you can see. But yeah, that's it, like, for now, because I'm just rambling on, and I'm kind of conscious of that. Anyway, so take care guys, and until next time, I will see you soon.